A lot of people ask me about how do you create generational wealth in real estate? Well, let me tell you how you do it. You buy assets that produce good cash flow before you buy status symbols. So, a lot of people, especially in this area that has grown so fast and created so much real estate wealth, they have to have the big house. It has to be on the water. It has to have a dock. They have to have the six-figure car. They've got to have three of them. The kids have to drive a BMW. So, if that's your approach to life, this probably isn't the video for you, because this is a video for people who want to understand how to create generational wealth in the real estate business. So, the most important thing that I tell people when they call me and say, I want to get into investing real estate, and I know you've bought and sold, I've bought and sold over 200 properties personally or through my entities over the last 30 plus years. And what I've learned the hard way, it's not that I'm not sitting here saying I've made every decision the right way. God knows I've made more mistakes than most people. But what I've learned through the process is that every time I bought something because it felt good, looked good, was good, and I didn't do it for the right reason, which is I needed to create cash flow and a little bit of growth. I mean, we want our real estate to grow in value, but speculation of value is the biggest danger. But I believe that my role has always been a consumer advocate, and my advocacy is for you to be able to create the wealth in real estate that most people aren't able to hang on to. So you've got some cash, you've got your house. First of all, if you don't own a house, you need to buy one. Buy one that you can afford. It doesn't have to be in the area that everybody thinks you ought to be in, that you think in your mind it needs to be in. Buy what you can afford comfortably. Put down as little money as possible, and don't rent from other people. Because when you rent from someone, let me reverse this. When you're the landlord, you basically get to tell everybody how much money they've got left over to spend every month because you're their most expensive cost. Retail businesses, for example, have this problem. If a retail business is in a shopping center and they're leasing from a large corporation that owns the shopping center, the landlord of the shopping center is making more net profit off of that retail business than the retail business is itself. So there's a lot of people who want to run the retail business because it feels good and they love dealing with the product and they like meeting the customers, and I don't begrudge that. But the reality of it is the most profit being made is from the actual real estate that the business is in, unless you're in the service business like real estate, accounting, lawyers, et cetera. I mean, there are exceptions to this. But when you look at getting into real estate generational wealth, buy a house, put down as little money as possible. Here's another big piece of advice. Stay out of the homeowners associations. 20 years ago, homeowners associations were a good idea. And I'm not saying don't ever own in a homeowners association, but if you're just getting started or you're trying to really ramp up your real estate investment, you need to really think cautiously about whether buying in an HOA is a good idea as your primary residence. And don't ever buy in an HOA as an investment property. Just don't. There's plenty of properties in the Charleston Tri-County area that are not in homeowners associations. They will attack you. They will sabotage you. They will begrudge you. The neighbors will hate you. You will constantly be under fire. And my posture 20 years ago is I'll fight everybody, right? I'll win the battle. The bottom line is yeah, maybe I can, but do you really want to live your life with these fights? I mean, these people are not your friends. So buy in places where there's no homeowners association. The city governments are bad enough. All you got to deal with is city ordinances, rent the property, and that's it. So if you look at real estate investing, I go back to what I said a moment ago. Cash flow is king. You want to buy something that is as close to, and if you can exceed this, this is the holy grail, to 1% per month of what you paid for the property. So if you paid $300,000 for the property, you would like to rent that for as close to $3,000 a month as possible. If you're at $2,000 a month on a $300,000 property, that's a big X. No, that doesn't work, because the idea is stop trying to make everything perfect. Just get in the game. Get into the game. Start throwing the football of real estate. What a lot of people like to do is they go, well, I live in Mount Pleasant, so I would like to invest in my hometown. I don't want to see my tenants at the grocery store. Not because I'm better than they are or anything like that. I don't want business and my personal life to mesh. Where I might want to live and what I might could afford is one thing, but what I want to invest into is the highest potential of cash flow. So where are those areas in our market? I was having this conversation with one of my team members this week, and I said somewhere like Corey Woods in Somerville, out near Central Avenue and Butternut, or Monk's Corner, or Ravenel, or the outer limits of Somerville toward Cottageville, or up toward Jedburgh or Ridgeville. Why? Because those are the fringes of the market. That's where the growth is. That's where you can find older homes with good bones that are ugly and that have a bad agent that listed it, that have been on the market for 4 months because they don't know how to sell, water in the desert, let alone a house in a softer market. And the seller was unwilling to make the repairs, but the house itself is in pretty good shape. Maybe like grandma's house. It's got the green carpet, it's got the yellow appliances, it's got the orange countertops, right? But the roof has been replaced, the HVAC is in decent condition, and the property's in the $250,000 to $350,000 range. And you can do some lipstick on the pig for a few $1,000s, paint, carpet, etc., and then lease the house out for something like $2,500 a month. Look for value-added opportunities where you can add a bathroom or bedroom without having to change the structure of the house. Moving a house from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom, or 3-bedroom to a 4-bedroom can help you in these price points to be able to find either government voucher tenants or tenants at the entry level to the regular residential market where you can make a whole lot more money. Buy assets. Own things. You want to own stocks, own real estate, own your house that you live in, own your car. Don't have a car payment. Don't lease the car. Don't lease too much software. Don't lease too many products. Don't rent things. The people who lease and rent things to you own you. And that is what the goal is of the big businesses and big tech in our country today, is that they want to have a nation of renters. So if you know that there's going to be a lot of things geared toward renting and leasing to the lower and middle class of this country, and that's the goal of big business, you're going to want to own some of those assets so that you have some power in that economy. So buy things that you can afford to live in, live within your means, and take all of the other cash flow and put down as little as possible to buy your first investment property that will make net money every month, or at least you're buying a good discount where you can get some sweat equity and flip the property. But the idea of hitting grand slams and home runs in investment property, oh yeah, I've seen other people do it. I'm going to go out and buy this property for $280,000. I'm going to put a little bit of money into it, and I'm going to flip it and make $100,000 real quick. That's bull crap. It takes time. You need to get into a property. You need to invest in that property. You need to rent that property. You need to experience that process so that you have a sixth sense of how all this works. These people that make that stuff look easy have owned dozens of properties. They have flipped multiple properties, and they've lost money a few times before they made money. Don't make the mistakes that everybody has to learn the hard way when you can get into the business in cash flow, have investment properties, and in 30 years, you can have all of them paid off, maybe sooner, and have all of that cash flow. It is the best way to create generational wealth that you can pass on to your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. Of course, we have a whole series I've done about putting together trusts to control those assets so that some entitled kid down the road who thinks that an inheritance is his to spend like it's going out of style, instead of investing it into generational wealth. There's a way to control that too, but that's another video topic. The reality of it is live within your means, buy assets, not status symbols, and buy cash flowing properties that are near 1% of what you paid for the property. $3,000 is a $300,000 property or something close to that. And you will build wealth faster than you can imagine if you stay disciplined on that pathway. Thanks for watching.